Okay, this is 7th grade math, section 3.5, page 155. We're going to add and subtract mixed numbers. And we have positive and negative ones. I'm just going to do a couple examples here. I want to show you my method. If you choose to use this method, that's up to you. But here we have a problem, 5.5 minus 3, and that's 2/3. 3 2/3. Sometimes my pen gets a little thick. We first of all go horizontally, 5 1/2, and I change it to plus a negative 3 2/3. So I change the sign of the subtraction and follow the rules of addition. Now if we don't have subtraction, we just leave it alone, correct? It's at this point that I go vertical. Okay? I go vertical. So I'm going to take the sign of the larger, which is positive, and I'm going to subtract the 2. So I'm going to subtract 2/3. So I know at the end that I'm subtracting. Do you understand that? What's that?
Wouldn't it be negative 3?
No, because, okay, let's go through the rules here, Olivia. It is a negative 3 2/3, but I'm going to use the rule. I'm going to take the sign of the larger, which is this one, which is positive, and I'm going to subtract the 2 absolute values.
Okay.
So that's where I get this subtraction from, okay? And it's best to do this on mixed numbers because then you keep everything together, all right? So what is the common denominator between these two?
6.
It is 6, okay? So if I get a numerator, I'm going to multiply this by 3, and I'm going to multiply this by 3. It's really hard to do that in this area. And then this is 6. I'm going to multiply this by 2, and I'm going to multiply this by 2, okay? Now, what is the reason I did this one? Do you know? What happens when I subtract here? The 4 is bigger than the 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have to borrow, okay? I'm going to have to borrow. And so I'm going to borrow 1 from here, making this a 4. And I'm going to add 4, and this is 4 and plus 3 6 plus 6 6. Did you know that the operation between these two was plus? It is. Okay? And so I get 4 and 9 6. That's the way we write this. So I add 6 6. Where did the 6 6 come from?
So the fraction that the 5 was with was, the denominator was 6, so that's the overall number.
Okay.
And if we take 1 away, it'd just be 6 6.
Okay. So he said that the denominator of my common denominator was 6, right? And so I want to add 1, and the way you add 1 with fractions is 6 over 6, which is 1. Do you understand that, Olivia? Right here. This is 1, right? And I added the one that I borrowed. This is the one that I borrowed. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you understand how I got 4 and 9 6? Because I added the 3 and the 6 together. And this is all addition, but we write it as 4 and 9 6 because we're lazy Americans. We don't put the plus sign in there. You understand that? And now this one's okay, so I just bring it clear over here, and I just subtract. So 1 and 5 6. Okay? Now yesterday, Thad said something about changing it to improper fractions. Patrick, that's what you did in the past? Do you remember, or did you do it like this?
I didn't do that in the past.
Okay, did anybody do improper fractions? Okay, just you. Do you understand that? Okay, so I won't go over that if you understand that. Okay, let's take another one. 2 and 3/5 minus a negative 6 and 1/8. Okay? 2 and 3/5 minus a negative 6 and 1/8. Okay, so I go horizontally, correct? To get the right problem. So I go 2 and 3/5, and I change the sign of the subtrahend, Olivia. I change the sign of this to positive, and I change this to addition. So it's plus 6 and 1/8. These signs are like, Olivia, so I just take the sign, which is positive, and I add that, right? The biggest problem is if they were both negative, I forget to put the negative down there, okay? That's the problem. So don't forget your negatives. So 2 3/5 plus 6 1/8, okay? And I do it vertically. And the reason I do it vertically is it allows me to keep the denominator. I know I don't do fractions vertically, but the mixed number is a little easier for me to do vertically. What is the common denominator? 40, isn't it? So I write it 2 and something over 40 and 6 and something over 40. Notice I just go ahead and write the whole number and I write the denominator, okay? Now I multiplied this one by 8, so I have to multiply this one by 8. So it's 24. And I multiplied this one by 5. I must multiply this one by 5. And this is 5. Okay? And then I add them. 2 plus 6 is 8. And 24 plus 5 is 29 over 40. I look to see if I have a negative. I do not have negatives. It was positive. And I look to see if 29 and 40 can be simplified. And it cannot be, can it? Okay. All right. Okay, so let's take a look on page 155. Page 155, you have a couple of story problems, right? We're doing 10 through 29, is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at number 28, shall we? 28 says, Patrick, the length of Kelsey's garden is 4 5/8 feet. Find the width of Casey's garden if it's 2 7/8 feet shorter than its length. Okay, so find the width if the width is 2 7/8 feet shorter than the length. What do I do there? What operation? We got to go back to problem solving, right? Remember the steps of problem solving? What was it? UPSI, understand, plan, solve, and check, right? Understand. What operation are we going to do there?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. What are we going to subtract?
4 and 5/8
minus 2 and 7/8. Now tell me why I went ahead and put it vertically instead of horizontal. What's that? They have, number one, they have the same denominator. Number two is that's elementary subtraction, isn't it? Isn't 4 and 5/8 bigger than 2 and 7/8? Yes, it is. But you'll notice that the 5 is smaller than the 7. So what do we have to do?
Make the 4 3.
And what do I add to the 5/8, Olivia? What do I add to the 5/8? I borrowed 1. What do I add to the 5/8? I have to add 1, right? But how do I write it?
6 over 8.
Nope. No, not 6 over 8. You went over here and you did the 6 over 6. What would 1 be with the denominator of 8? What would 1 be with the denominator of 8? Patrick?
8 8s.
Okay, Olivia, 8 8s. If my denominator was 10, what would it be, Olivia? 10 tenths. If my denominator was Olivia, what would it be? If my denominator was Olivia, what would it be? Olivia over Olivia. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? Okay, so this is 3 and 13 over 8. Is that correct? I have trouble with 8s on this. So minus 2 and 7/8. Are you following this, Patrick? Thaddeus? All right. What about you, Olivia? Sort of. Well, tell me where do I need to talk?
Like when you add them all up, they do 8 plus 5.
Yeah, that's 13, right? And then over 8, and then I just add them all, and we don't put the plus signs in there anymore because we're lazy Americans. But they're really there. That's what that means. Did you know that? I know you've never seen that before because we don't show it, but okay? So you just add them all up, so you rewrite it like this though, and you might wanna, this I do to show you that we're adding one, right? Okay, did they just teach you in, I don't know, in elementary, just to add 8 to that? Right there? I don't know if they did or not. I've had some students that have done that before, and I don't know, I'm trying to show you why it's true, okay? So now I subtract, 13 minus 7 is 6 eighths, and 3 minus 2 is 1. However, that is not simplified, is it? How do I simplify it? I divide 6 eighths by what? 2. Is that what you said, Olivia?
Yeah.
Okay. And 6 divided by 2 is what, Patrick?
1 3/4.
All right. You told me the whole thing. But 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay. So your assignment is page 155, numbers 10 through 29. I would like it done tomorrow, please. Okay. Emma, would you at some point go up and erase first period and put the 155, 10 through 29 in there? Do you have any more questions, Olivia?
No.
Okay. All right. We will begin then.